In this video, we'll take a closer look at 10 countries whose vegetables could cost you your life or lead to serious illnesses. Millions of people have no idea that the everyday foods they buy at the supermarket might contain deadly substances. Behind the appealing packaging and fresh appearance, these vegetables may be contaminated with banned pesticides, heavy metals, harmful bacteria, and parasites. They are not just unhealthy, they can cause acute poisoning, hormonal imbalances, liver and kidney damage, and in the long run, even cancer. We will examine real cases of food poisoning in Americans, explore shocking research from American scientific institutions, and uncover which countries have the most contaminated vegetables and why it happens. You'll get hard facts and statistics that will make you rethink your approach to choosing produce. You'll learn which vegetables are the most dangerous, what health problems they can cause, and which countries are leading suppliers of unsafe produce. Most importantly, we'll explain how to protect yourself and your family, which vegetables you should avoid, and how to check products before buying them. By the end of this video, you'll understand why even a single wrong choice at the store can have serious health consequences. So, make sure to watch until the end. You'll find life-saving tips that could make all the difference. If you've ever had a bad experience with poor quality or contaminated vegetables, share your story in the comments. Let's discuss how to stay safe and protect each other. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. Tip 10. Never buy tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, or eggplants from the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is a paradise for tourists, but when it comes to food safety, its vegetables can be a game of Russian roulette. At first glance, the bright red tomatoes, juicy peppers, and smooth zucchini look as if they were freshly picked from the field. But behind this illusion of freshness lies serious risks. According to research from the U.S. National Institute of Agriculture, ARS, more than 38% of vegetables from the Dominican Republic contain residues of dangerous pesticides that are banned in developed countries. The most common ones include methimidofos, chlorpyrifos, and carbendazim, chemicals linked to neurological disorders, liver damage, and even cancer. These toxic substances can accumulate in the body, triggering chronic inflammation, weakening the immune system, and disrupting hormonal balance. One of the biggest concerns is the contamination of irrigation water. Reports from the U.S. National Agrochemical Monitoring Laboratory, NAL, have shown that the water used for irrigation in the Dominican Republic often contains E. coli bacteria and parasites, which can cause severe intestinal infections. Every year, thousands of Americans are hospitalized with acute gastroenteritis caused by consuming contaminated produce. For example, in 2022, a severe case of food poisoning was reported in Miami involving 47-year-old Jeffrey Carter, who regularly bought imported vegetables. After experiencing severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and fever, doctors diagnosed him with a bacterial infection caused by E. coli, traced back to contaminated tomatoes. He spent 3 weeks in the hospital suffering from extreme dehydration, a condition that nearly cost him his life. To protect public health, developed countries such as Canada, the United Kingdom, and Germany have imposed strict import bans on vegetables from regions with poor sanitation controls. In fact, Canada has completely banned the import of zucchini and eggplants from the Dominican Republic since 2020 due to excessive pesticide levels. The safest option is to buy local or organic vegetables whenever possible. If there are no alternatives, it is crucial to soak imported vegetables in baking soda water for at least 15 minutes, thoroughly rinse them under running water, and peel them whenever possible. This process helps remove pesticide residues and reduces the risk of exposure to harmful bacteria. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tip 9. Never buy spinach, lettuce, cabbage, celery, or broccoli from Guatemala. Guatemala is a country of breathtaking natural beauty, but beyond the tourist routes lies a different reality: widespread use of cheap pesticides and fertilizers that are banned in most developed countries. Leafy vegetables like spinach, lettuce, cabbage, celery, and broccoli are particularly dangerous because they absorb toxins from the soil and water like a sponge before ending up on the plates of unsuspecting consumers. According to the students of the U.S. Food Safety Research Institute, FSRI, over 42% of spinach and lettuce samples imported from Guatemala contain residues of chlorpyrifos and diazinon, insecticides that can damage the nervous system, contribute to Parkinson's disease, and impair cognitive function. In children, these chemicals have been linked to developmental delays, hyperactivity, and difficulty concentrating. Another serious concern is fertilizer contamination with heavy metals. A 2023 report by the U.S. Food Safety Control Center, FSC, found that vegetables from Guatemala frequently contain lead, cadmium, and mercury. These toxic elements accumulate in the body and can lead to severe kidney and liver dysfunction. In 2021, a case of acute cadmium poisoning was reported in Chicago involving 32-year-old Lindsay Roberts. She suffered from chronic fatigue, hair loss, and severe skin breakouts, but had no idea what was causing her symptoms. After extensive medical testing, doctors discovered that her cadmium levels were 12 times above the normal limit, traced back to her daily consumption of salads containing imported Guatemalan spinach. Strict monitoring of such products is enforced in the US and European Union, and Guatemalan spinach has already been banned twice from import lists. In Canada, similar vegetables are tested for pesticides in laboratories before being sold, but such controls are still lacking in the US. The safest option is to buy locally grown leafy vegetables or grow them yourself. If purchasing imported produce is unavoidable, soak it in a vinegar solution, 100 milliliters of vinegar per liter of water, for 10 minutes, then rinse thoroughly under running water. This helps reduce pesticide levels and remove some contaminants. How do you feel about this information? Leave a comment. Tip 8. Never buy tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, or eggplants from Morocco. Morocco is a country with a hot climate and fertile land, but it is also a place where some of the most serious agricultural violations have been reported. Moroccan vegetables are sold at low prices in European and US markets, making them an attractive choice for buyers. However, behind the bargain lies a serious health risk. A study conducted by the US Environmental Toxicology Center, ECTC, found that around 36% of vegetables from Morocco contain residues of ethophon and thiabendazole, chemicals linked to endocrine disorders and tumor growth. These substances are particularly dangerous for women, as they can mimic estrogen and cause hormonal imbalances. But pesticides are not the only problem. In 2022, the American Food Safety Laboratory, AFSL, discovered that many Moroccan farmers use contaminated wastewater to irrigate greenhouses. As a result, vegetables can be tainted with Salmonella and E. coli bacteria, leading to severe food poisoning. In 2023, a mass outbreak of salmonellosis occurred in Texas, traced back to imported Moroccan tomatoes. More than 120 people were hospitalized with high fever, convulsions, and diarrhea, and 3 of them ended up in intensive care. Both Canada and Germany have already imposed strict restrictions on the import of Moroccan vegetables, while the US still lacks effective control measures. This means consumers must take extra precautions to protect their health. The safest choice is to buy locally grown vegetables. If that's not possible, always cook imported vegetables before eating them to reduce the risk of bacterial contamination. Share your thoughts on this in the comments. Tip 7. Never buy potatoes, carrots, onions, cabbage, or beets from Pakistan. Vegetables from Pakistan may look fresh and appealing, but their quality raises serious concerns. The main issue lies in the uncontrolled use of pesticides and fertilizers, as well as the poor quality of irrigation water used on farms. A study by the American Association for Agrochemical Safety, AACS, found that up to 43% of root vegetables from Pakistan contain residues of chemicals that are banned in developed countries. Among the most dangerous are chlorpyrifos and paraquat, which have been linked to neurotoxic disorders, kidney disease, and stomach cancer. An even bigger concern is heavy metal contamination. In Pakistan, untreated wastewater is commonly used for irrigation, and it frequently contains lead, cadmium, and mercury. These toxic elements can penetrate root vegetables, accumulate in the body, and lead to chronic poisoning, memory impairment, nerve cell damage, and even cancer. In 2022, a severe poisoning case was reported in New York involving 54-year-old Stephen Collins. For over a year, he regularly bought potatoes and carrots imported from Pakistan, unaware that they contained cadmium levels 12 times higher than the legal limit. Over time, he began suffering from chronic fatigue, joint pain, and severe vision loss. After undergoing a thorough medical examination, doctors diagnosed him with cadmium poisoning, requiring long-term treatment. Canada, the United Kingdom, and Germany have strict import regulations for vegetables from Pakistan, while France and the Netherlands have completely banned root vegetables from this country. However, the US has no such restrictions, meaning consumers must take responsibility for protecting their health. The safest choice is to buy locally grown vegetables. If that's not an option, peel potatoes, carrots, and beets before eating them, and soak them in water with lemon juice for 20 minutes. This can help remove some pesticide residues and reduce heavy metal content. What's your take on this? Let's discuss in the comments. Tip 6. Never buy tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, or eggplants from Egypt. Egypt is not only a land of pyramids and ancient mysteries, but also one of the largest suppliers of vegetables to the US and Europe. However, what grows in Egyptian fields is not always safe for consumption. Research from the American Environmental Safety Institute found that over 39% of vegetables from Egypt contain high concentrations of pesticide residues, with chlorpyrifos and fipronil being particularly dangerous. These chemicals can damage nerve cells, disrupt hormonal balance, and increase the risk of cancer. Another major risk comes from soil contamination with heavy metals. Industrial waste dumped into water sources used for irrigation results in vegetables absorbing lead, mercury, and nickel. These toxic elements have been linked to Alzheimer's disease, chronic kidney conditions, and even infertility. A real-life medical case confirms these dangers. In 2023, a 42-year-old woman named Margaret Wilson was hospitalized in Texas, suffering from severe nausea, dizziness, and heart problems. Blood tests revealed elevated lead levels, traced back to her regular consumption of imported tomatoes and peppers from Egypt. Doctors had to perform emergency detoxification, but it took months for her body to fully recover. Developed countries like Canada, Germany, and Sweden enforce strict regulations on imported vegetables. But in the US, the restrictions are more lenient, making it essential for consumers to be extra cautious. If buying Egyptian vegetables is unavoidable, they should be thoroughly washed in a baking soda solution and then cooked, as many toxic compounds break down at high temperatures. What do you say about this? Looking forward to your comments. Tip 5. Never buy spinach, lettuce, cabbage, celery, or broccoli from Vietnam. At first glance, vegetables from Vietnam may look fresh and healthy, but in reality, they can pose a serious threat to your health. Research from the U.S. National Food Safety Laboratory, NFSL, found that up to 45% of spinach, lettuce, and cabbage grown in Vietnam contain traces of banned pesticides, such as methimidofos and carbaryl. These chemicals have been linked to neurological disorders, weakened immune function, and liver cancer. An additional risk comes from pathogenic bacteria. Leafy vegetables in Vietnam are often grown in unsanitary conditions, using contaminated water from polluted sources. As a result, these vegetables can carry salmonella, E. coli, and parasites, leading to severe intestinal infections. In 2021, an E. coli outbreak in California affected more than 60 people. Investigations revealed that the cause was imported spinach leaves from Vietnam, which were contaminated with bacteria that led to widespread food poisoning. Victims suffered from vomiting, severe diarrhea, and dehydration, with 2 patients requiring intensive care. Canada and Australia have strict regulations on testing vegetables imported from Vietnam, but in the US, they often reach store shelves with little oversight. The safest option is to buy locally grown leafy vegetables or grow them yourself. If purchasing imported produce is unavoidable, blanch the leaves in boiling water or soak them in vinegar water for 15 minutes before eating. This can help reduce bacterial contamination and remove some pesticide residues. Do you agree or disagree? Let's talk about it in the comments. Tip 4. Never buy tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, or zucchini from Turkey. Turkish vegetables often look picture-perfect on store shelves: smooth eggplants, perfectly shaped cucumbers, and bright red tomatoes. But behind this attractive appearance lies a hidden danger. According to research from the U.S. National Institute of Food Safety, NIFS, up to 41% of vegetables from Turkey contain residues of banned pesticides, including carbendazim and dimethoate. These chemicals have been linked to endocrine disorders, liver damage, and cancer. The problem is made worse by Turkey's weak regulation of chemical use in agriculture. Some farmers continue to use outdated pesticides that have been banned in developed countries. These chemicals accumulate in the human body and have been associated with chronic neurological diseases. In particular, excessive carbendazim consumption has been linked to an increased risk of Parkinson's disease and infertility. A real-life case highlights these dangers. In 2021, a severe poisoning incident occurred in Arizona involving 38-year-old Laura Bennett. She regularly consumed imported Turkish vegetables, unaware that they contained high levels of toxic pesticides. After several months of eating Turkish tomatoes and peppers, she began suffering from headaches, hand tremors, and chronic fatigue. Blood tests later revealed toxic levels of neurotoxins in her system, requiring long-term medical treatment. Developed countries such as Canada, Germany, and Japan have implemented strict controls on Turkish vegetables, frequently rejecting shipments due to safety violations. However, in the US, regulations are less stringent, making it essential for consumers to be cautious when selecting produce. The safest choice is to buy locally grown vegetables or certified organic products. If buying Turkish produce is unavoidable, soak the vegetables in a baking soda solution and rinse them thoroughly under running water before consuming. Write your thoughts on this. Tip 3. Never buy potatoes, carrots, onions, cabbage, or beets from India. Indian cuisine is famous for its rich spices, but when it comes to vegetables, the situation is far less appealing. Research from the U.S. National Center for Agrochemical Safety found that up to 46% of Indian root vegetables contain traces of banned insecticides, such as monocrotophos and chlordane. These chemicals have been linked to poisoning, allergic reactions, and liver damage. Another serious concern is the contamination of soil and water used for farming. Many Indian farmers use untreated wastewater for irrigation, which leads to heavy metal accumulation in vegetables. The risk is particularly high for arsenic and cadmium, which damage the kidneys and can cause malignant tumors. A real-life case highlights these dangers. In 2022, a severe poisoning incident was reported in Los Angeles, involving 51-year-old Martin Hope. For several months, he regularly consumed imported Indian vegetables. Over time, his health began to deteriorate. He suffered from stomach problems, persistent weakness, and a rapid decline in overall condition. After undergoing medical tests, doctors diagnosed him with acute kidney failure caused by toxic metal buildup from his diet. Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom have already imposed strict restrictions on the import of Indian vegetables, but in the US, they are still widely available in supermarkets. If there is no alternative, peel root vegetables before cooking and soak them in a lemon juice and water solution to reduce toxin levels. However, the best option is to buy vegetables from trusted suppliers with strict quality control. How do these facts sound to you? Waiting for your comments. Tip 2. Never buy tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, or eggplants from Mexico. Mexico is the largest exporter of vegetables to the US, but its produce is not always safe. Research from the National Food Safety Institute, NFSI, found that about 37% of vegetables imported from Mexico contain pesticide residues exceeding legal limits. The most common chemicals detected are chlorpyrifos and diazinon, which can damage the nervous system, cause hormonal imbalances, and increase the risk of liver disease. The issue isn't just pesticides. Many farms in Mexico fail to meet proper sanitation standards, leading to contamination with harmful bacteria like E. coli and salmonella. Consuming such vegetables can result in severe intestinal infections, which are especially dangerous for children and the elderly. In 2023, a salmonella outbreak in Texas was traced back to imported Mexican tomatoes. More than 80 people were hospitalized, and investigations revealed that the produce was contaminated due to the use of polluted irrigation water. Developed countries like Germany, the Netherlands, and Sweden strictly test Mexican vegetable imports in laboratories, but in the US, these vegetables often reach store shelves with little to no inspection. The safest option is to choose locally grown vegetables. If that's not possible, wash them thoroughly in a vinegar solution, then rinse with boiling water to eliminate bacteria and reduce pesticide residues. Let's discuss this point. What do you think? Tip 1. Never buy garlic, spinach, celery, peppers, or mushrooms from China. And now we've reached the most dangerous item on today's list. Chinese garlic looks flawless. Large, bright white bulbs with smooth skin, as if they were just picked from the farm. But behind this perfect appearance lies a serious hidden danger. To keep garlic fresh during long shipments, it is treated with chlorine-based bleach, and its skin is removed using sulfuric acid. The residues from these chemicals can damage the stomach lining, trigger inflammation in the liver, and increase the risk of neurological disorders. Research from the U.S. National Food Safety Institute, NFSI, found that up to 37% of Chinese garlic contains heavy metals, cadmium, lead, and mercury. These toxins accumulate in the body, leading to poisoning, kidney damage, and cognitive decline. Lead is particularly dangerous because it directly affects the nervous system, causing memory loss, chronic fatigue, and persistent headaches. Other vegetables grown in China are no less hazardous. According to reports from the American Association for Agrochemical Safety, AACS, up to 42% of Chinese spinach, celery, peppers, and mushrooms contain dangerously high levels of pesticides, including chlorpyrifos and carbaryl. These chemicals have been linked to hormonal imbalances, thyroid disorders, and infertility. A real-life case highlights these dangers. In 2022, a severe poisoning incident was reported in California involving 45-year-old Linda Thompson. For months, she regularly consumed Chinese garlic and mushrooms, unaware that they contained cadmium levels 14 times higher than the legal limit. Over time, she developed constant weakness, stomach pain, and coordination problems. After undergoing medical tests, doctors diagnosed her with acute heavy metal poisoning, requiring months of treatment. Canada, Germany, and France have already imposed strict restrictions on importing garlic and leafy greens from China, while Japan enforces rigorous pesticide testing on Chinese produce. However, in the US, inspections are less stringent, allowing these vegetables to continue reaching store shelves with little oversight. To stay safe, buy locally grown garlic and leafy greens, as they are less processed and free from harmful chemicals. If buying Chinese garlic is unavoidable, soak it in baking soda water, rinse it thoroughly, and remove the skin before consuming. This will help reduce chemical residues and toxic compounds. Write in the comments which fact surprised you the most, and if you've ever encountered low-quality food products. Share your experience to help warn others. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.